is the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
Hello, welcome to this week's episode of the Bristol Flyers Podcast. I'm Joel Osborne and he is Sam Hardy. We are powered by Matchday Live. And Sam, this is our 100th episode!
Mate, that is wild! Can you believe we actually didn't kill each other for the last 100 episodes, Jolie? And I'm more talking about Dan. Producer Dan is with us. Hello, sir.
Happy birthday, boys.
Thank you, mate. Did you get me a cake?
I have got you a special present. I am topless.
And that is not a present for our podcast listeners or watchers, and that's why you're behind the camera.
Yeah.
I actually can't see. You've got a new setup back here now, so Dan's been hidden away behind the screen, so I can't actually tell if he is topless or not, Joel. We'll leave it as Schrodinger's T-shirt, shall we?
Topless in the dark. I like it. Right, well, this is our episode number 100, and as promised on last week's show, we are joined by none other than club legend Greg Streete.
What an episode. I loved doing this one. We recorded it actually a few weeks ago now, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, yeah.
Honestly, it is so fun that we've got him in the studio, Jolie.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. You are in for a treat. We take it all the way back to the start of his journey growing up in Bristol, playing basketball, joining the Bristol Bombers, what it was back then joining Filton College, what it was back then. Great chat. We did a very similar chat with Gareth Till and Danny James a few weeks back on the podcast. This just continues the nostalgia. We look back on all those good years. We continue through to him being named club captain in 2009. We talk about some of the silverware that Flyers won in 2010 and 2011. And then, of course, we discuss the Bristol Sport takeover and the transition into the club's top flight era in 2014.
Honestly, I don't normally get like this, and it's not like a starstruck thing because it's like he's a really down-to-earth person, but he was there from the beginning, and so I just was like filled with joy listening to him talk on this one, Jolie.
Yeah, the ultimate professional just knows exactly, he just gets it. Do you know what I mean? He just understands the club, the journey it's been on over the last 20 years. And yeah, I don't think we should talk much more because we should probably send you straight to the episode. So without further ado, let's get to our 100th episode with none other than Bristol Flyers club legend, Greg Streete.
This is the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
What's up, Flyers fans? This is the part of the podcast where we tell you all about our brand new podcast sponsor, Matchday Live. So Matchday Live is essentially a Netflix-style OTT platform that sporting clubs and organisations can monetize their own content and bring fans closer to the action. They help sporting teams and organisations become the broadcaster with live streaming and on-demand solution tailored to the world of sports. Deeper insights, richer monetization capabilities, and active support to ensure your fans are never in the dark. We're actually working with Matchday Live right now, Sam, to build a brand new Bristol Flyers TV platform that we hopefully be coming next season. But it's not just the Flyers that Matchday Live are working with, because they work with a whole bunch of other sporting teams and organisations, including Bristol City, Chesterfield FC, and our good friends at the Bristol Pitbulls Ice Hockey Club. So if you want to find more about how you can enhance your content with your own OTT platform, courtesy of Matchday Live, you can reach out to their sales team, sales@matchdaymediagroup.com. That's sales@matchdaymediagroup.com.
This is the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
Well, welcome back to the Bristol Flyers Podcast. We are powered by Matchday Live, and this is our 100th episode. 100 shows, Sam. Crazy.
Can you believe it? When we first started this, we'd get this far.
Honestly.
I thought they would have banned us by now, mate.
Yeah,
So
who would have thought? But to celebrate our 100th show, we've only gone and got the biggest guest we could possibly find, and that is none other than Bristol Flyers club legend Greg Streete in the house.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Here he is, Greg. Welcome to the podcast.
we've been waiting for you, Greg.
I can feel it.
Hey, I am so happy you are here. We've been waiting so long. We've always wanted to get you on the podcast, and I just didn't think it was worth us getting you on for like episode,
71.
Yeah, that's not very special, is it? So we got you on for our 100th show.
Yeah.
How's it going?
It's good, man. Yeah, it's great. It's lovely being back here again in the studio and stuff. Like, it's been a long time since I've been here and stuff. And it's just lovely to see that the shows keep it keeps progressing and keeps going and stuff. And
Yeah.
I always watch it online and things. So it's like, wow, now I'm a part of it.
Yeah.
You know? So
I was going to
yeah,
say, this wasn't a
feel
thing
blessed.
when you were with us before, was it? There was no podcast.
But you
wasn't-
did used to interview us and back in the day and
Yeah.
stuff. That's how things, started and things. And
Yeah.
our, interviewing skills kind of started getting better and things.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Did you ever say anything you really regret in an interview? Got in trouble for?
Gosh, no, because I was always thinking, God, Andreas is going to watch this, so I better be on my best behavior every time,
I bet there were things you wanted to say that you couldn't say though.
Yeah, well, after a few L's, yeah.
Blame the
Left in them.
referees.
Oh, God, don't talk to me about the refs. Yeah, we'll stay away from that one.
Yeah, we don't talk about refs right now
No,
on
we
the
don't
Bristol
talk about
Flyers
refs.
podcast.
No, that's taboo, yeah.
Yeah. But we appreciate you coming on the podcast, man, because we've, like I say, wanted to get you on for so long. Just tell us, what have you been up to since leaving the Flyers?
Oh, wow. So, I mean, as soon as I left the Flyers, I joined the fire service,
Mm.
which was great for me to kind of not get my mind off basketball, but to kind of move on to the next stage in my life. It was great for me to kind of get into another team almost as well, because I was in a training team when I was at Severn Park training facility, and then they dished us all out into the different stations, and I was stationed at Southmead, which was great. I was with a great bunch of guys and stuff that looked after me, and eventually now I found my way back to Kingswood, which is where I live, and I work there now.
So did you, you had no training, nothing, and when you were doing basketball, you finished basketball, you went straight into training? Is that what
Yeah,
happened?
literally like maybe a month after from the last game I played to the moment I started training school.
Wow.
So it was a very nice, smooth transition. I
Yeah.
think it helped because I felt kind of lost, not getting ready for the next season. Like most good players on the team will sort of finish the season and think, right, next season, what do I need to do? Start working on preseason, working on your things you need to get better and niggly injuries and stuff. But there was none of that. I wasn't thinking about the next game. I was thinking about, right, training school, helmets, ladders, hoses, and, fires and stuff.
Yeah.
It was completely different.
Yeah, it's completely different. It is very similar to basketball in that there are transferable skills like teamwork, like discipline, that sort of stuff. That all naturally, I guess, for you was quite a natural progression into the fire service.
Yeah, big time. It's something I niched onto straight away. The fact that we were in a team, we were learning together, even though we were all individually trying to get through training school. Like we were all trying to get everyone else through as well. Some people had strengths and weaknesses like basketball. And we kind of found that we could, help each other out in our strengths and weaknesses to make sure that no one got left behind. And it's exactly like that on the game, on the court. Like if you've got development players, you want to see them develop throughout the season. And then by the end of the season, they're ready to go and they're almost starting. So that's kind of how we go.
I suppose basketball's a matter of life or death, whereas firefighting doesn't really matter. Is that right?
Yeah. Especially in our league, jeez, it really was.
Yeah.
You know what training's going to be like on Tuesday if you don't turn up on the weekend, man. Woo.
I love that. Amazing. And how are the kids? Because you got 3 of them now, right?
3 kids, yeah. So Corey's 14 now. He's doing really well in school. He enjoys basketball as well. Football. He's just a jack of all trades. He likes lots of things and stuff. Tracy's doing well. He's in jiu-jitsu at the moment. So he's in Roger Gracie East. Doing really, really well. He's competed in a few competitions and stuff. And then, we've recently had a 10-month-old baby, Levi. Yeah.
Amazing.
So I am busy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stacked.
What do you reckon? Maybe for the Flyers' 40th anniversary season, are we going to see a young Levi on the training
maybe.
squad? Do you reckon? Is that
I
right?
reckon so. I might have a walking stick at the time, but he'll be here maybe. It would be nice though. It would be nice maybe to see him playing and stuff. I know Dee Dee would love to see him play basketball, so we'll see if we could push him into it.
Yeah. Watch this space.
Watch this space. Yeah. It could be today. The 100th episode, we called it.
And how about Coach Capulas? I imagine you guys are still very much in touch.
Yeah. So we usually meet up maybe once or twice a year, but I know he's so busy, especially now he's in Europe as well. And the summer commitments he has to the national team. So I usually just drop him a message towards the end of the season and just say, mate, love to catch up with you at some point. And then he always finds time for me. We'll meet up at a coffee shop and just catch up.
Am I right in thinking also that earlier this season, he actually invited you to come in and do a team talk for the guys ahead of the SLB Trophy Final earlier this season?
Yes, he did. Yeah, which is a great opportunity for me to meet the team and stuff, especially because there's a few players in the team that I've used to coach, like Corey and stuff like that. Leslie being a returning player as well. But everyone else was new faces. So it was a great opportunity to come and talk to them. And I was really humbled by the fact that they, all engaged with my story and what kind of Bristol meant to me while I was playing and what they're playing for. It's not just another game and stuff. I was explaining to them how Bristol was evolving and changing when it comes to sport, and basketball was at the heart of it all, because where it was kids walking down the street with footballs, now they're bouncing basketballs and stuff. And it's because of this team and the culture that we're creating. And, win or lose, as long as they go out there and give it 110%, the city will love them for it. So, bit of inspiration, bit of G'ing them up a little bit and stuff. And hopefully it helped them on the day and stuff. Obviously, they didn't get the result they wanted, but hopefully they'll carry that momentum through for the rest of the season. So.
I was going to say, because you've got those sort of ties in with the current squad. You talk about players like Corey Samuels and Corey Hill, who you've inspired to now be up in the first team themselves and then playing for the Flyers. And I suppose Leslie Smith was probably the only real active player who was playing back, the active player on the Flyers roster now who was playing to the back end of your career.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so he was the only one that I was looking across the guys. I was thinking, God, it is literally just Leslie, and which was nice to see him still playing and stuff. And he's sort of taking a more of a leadership, senior role in the team, which is lovely to see and stuff. So it's really good to have him on board.
This is going to make you feel old, but when you were started to play for the Flyers, Corey Hill hadn't even been born yet. So,
whoa,
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, ouch. No, Corey's great. I mean, both the Coreys, to be fair, and stuff like coaching them and seeing them develop and everything is just tremendous. And it's nothing more heartwarming than for me to see them in the crowd cheering us on, and then now they're on the court playing. That's just perfect for me, Bristol born, domestic players playing for their local team. It's amazing. And the Flyers is what's allowing that to happen and stuff. So yeah, and if I have a bit of inspiration in that, then brilliant.
I love that. It's just like a full circle moment where now that they'll be the next generation of players. And look, we've got it on screen here. As a young Corey Samuels, as a kid, that was the Corey Samuels that was watching you play.
Yep.
How does it make you feel when you see players like Corey Samuels now not only just playing in the first team squad, but actually legitimately having a legitimate role in the rotation? I mean, he's knocking down massive threes on the European stage for Flyers now.
Yeah, I mean, he should be super proud of himself. I mean, like, to be able to make the team, at his age, a young age, and then also like contribute as much as he's contributing is phenomenal. It's brilliant. Like, his parents must be so proud of him, and the city should be proud of him, because we've developed him, we've sort of nurtured him and brought him along. But he should be super proud of himself, and I'm proud of him as well, because I feel like I've contributed when I was coaching him, and even if it's little things like dribbling or passing or anything like that at all, if I've contributed, or even just him watching me play in any sort of way, if he's there because I've put in the effort, then that means the world to me. I feel super proud of him, super proud. And he should be proud of himself. And I'm hoping that he inspires the next generation to come along to be the next Corey Samuels, and fly the flag again,
How old are you?
37.
Yeah, because I remember, I don't know about you, Joe. I'm from Taunton. I'm from Yeovil, really, but I played at the Tigers quite a lot growing up. And your name was like all around the Southwest anyway as someone to watch out for. And so you were inspiring people even at that point. We were like, flipping out, we've got to go and play against Greg Streete and stupid, like, because we're similar, not quite far. And you're just like, this is going to be rubbish. And I remember some big wins you killed us as well, which was annoying. So, but it's just not just the young kids coming up. It was all around that time. It was like, this guy, he's going to be the big thing. And then you went on and you did loads of amazing things like in the area for the Flyers. So it was really cool.
Yeah. I mean, I've always said it that I feel like my career, I was a product of the people who were around me. And that's also including people I played against as well. So I played against some amazing players. Yabsley, Taunton and stuff,
What a player.
What a player. Amazing guy. I don't think I've ever had a conversation with him, but we used to talk through basketball. Andreas would always put me on him. He would give me my assignment. He would say, look, you need to stop him from scoring. He likes doing one dribble pull up. And I can still remember it, one dribble pull up and stuff, and like he made me a better defender, So when I went on to play for the BBL or England or Great Britain, whatever, like it's those little gems I took with me, So
No way.
I'm a product of who I play against as well as who I play with.
I've just thought that's really interesting in that, and I've just thought, literally never thought this before. Yabsley's like the Southwest England Dirk Nowitzki, isn't he?
Yeah, he really is, dude. He's solid. He was so good, such a good player, So shout out to Yabsley wherever you are, man. Yeah,
I love that.
Good player, man. Very good player.
What I wanted to do before we really dive into your career right from the very start was to provide some context for maybe some of our newer fans who, because you retired in 2018 officially, and the club's grown so much since then, and we've got a lot of new fans who have watched Flyers for the first time who perhaps might recognise the name Greg Streete and haven't put a face to your name and don't really know who you are. So what I wanted to do for the newer fans, for some context, is just introduce yourself, talk us through your playing career, because it's such an amazing story, because essentially you were the pioneer for Bristol basketball in terms of players coming through the junior pathway up into the first team and playing for the Flyers.
Cool. How long have you got? It's a long story.
All day, mate.
So, so I'm Greg Streete, and born and bred Bristol. And I went to, let's go back to Whitfield, shall we? Mm-hmm. Whitfield Fish Ponds Community School, which is now Bristol Met. So I used to play basketball there, year 7, year 8, year 9. My coach was Brendan Recco at the time, who's a PE coach there, who's now, I know he's involved in a lot of refereeing at the moment, right?
No, Brendan was your teacher?
He was my PE teacher.
No way.
And he had a son called Eddie Recco who loved basketball. So naturally, Brendan put a little bit more into the basketball than the other sports and stuff. And I took a liking to it too. So we were playing really well. And one day, there was a guy called Adrian who came to referee one of our games. And he came over to me after the game and said, "Why don't you play for my team?" And I said, "Well, who's your team?" He said, "Bristol Bombers." And I said, "I've never heard of them." So he said, "Right, come to City Academy or St. George School at the time on a Monday night or whatever." I was like, "I don't think I'll be able to afford that. Like, single mum and all the rest of it and stuff." And he's like, "Don't worry about money. Just come. I'll sort it out." So I was like, "Okay, fine, cool." So I went there and then never left. So I started playing through, this was when I was 14 years old. And then by the time I was 15, I was playing Southwest for England. So with the Taunton guys and Plymouth guys.
We were literally talking about you on Tuesday, not just you, but like Foxy.
Yeah, Foxy.
Was talking about a trip you guys went on away somewhere with Southwest England.
Belgium?
Yeah, maybe.
Or Prague?
Prague, and we can't talk much more about that, but he said it was such a good trip.
Yeah, well, we were kids, like 15 years old and stuff, But yeah, again, Foxy, great player and stuff, Yeah. So within a year of me starting with Bristol Bombers, I was representing the Southwest. And then a year later, I was representing England. And then I was accepted into Filton College and just carried on playing basketball. And I thought, God, I'm pretty good at this. I could probably make a career out of this. I could keep pushing it. And at the time, we didn't have we were in the BBL. We weren't even in Division 1. I think the Bristol Bombers team the men's team were maybe in Division 3 at the time.
Yeah.
And it might even be played out of Bath at the time. Maybe Bath Romans. It was quite a long time ago. And then Danny James and Andreas and Steve Brock and stuff were all coaching me at different times and stuff all over the place. And I was just trying to get as much basketball out of myself as I could. And then the Bristol Academy, Bristol Academy Flyers was made and the team moved up to Filton. I went to Filton College and then I started playing college basketball, which was great.
Who are some of the guys that we might know now who was in that team with you?
Oh, gosh. Jordan Ranklin.
You're a bit older than the Loftmans, aren't you?
You remember like Ty Treasure?
Yeah, older than Loftman. Ty was a few years younger than me. Jermaine Major.
Jermaine?
Apollo
no
Gale.
way, he's still playing now.
Who else? Linus. Yeah. Not many. This is the thing. This is why I was so lucky to continue playing, because I played with such a lot of great players, but we didn't continue playing because other distractions or work or whatever. But I just carried on persevering and stuff, and kept playing. But college basketball was great for me because I got to play against some of the best kids in the country, especially the ones in London, because they were the ones who I was sort of competing against for spots for the England team. And I know Ty Treasure can relate to that as well, because he was going through the same thing. Manchester and London were running it back then. So we needed to make sure that we kind of progressed. But yeah, so about me and so I went through the college system.
Did you ever get to the Final Fours with college? Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you
went
win
to
them?
Final Fours. Yeah, we never won it. We got to semi-final, but East London Royals used to win it.
Yeah, they were always really good.
Yeah, they were good. They had 3 England players at the time. And at that time, it was just me as an England player and stuff. So, but we always gave them a run for their money and stuff. They knew that it was never going to be an easy game coming to Bristol. I know they used to think, oh, we'll go to Bristol, we'll wipe the floor with those Farmers, but it was never that. Never that. So, yeah, we always had a chip on our shoulder with that kind of stuff. So we always play really hard against them, big time.
Yeah. And then you obviously, so it was 12 years in total you spent with the Flyers in the first team, and that was all the way from Div 2 back-to-back promotions into Div 1.
That's right.
You were part of that core group of players that made the transition from Div 1 into the top flight era in the BBL and the Bristol Sport. You made 102 appearances in the BBL, over 1,000 points for the Flyers in the top flight. At the time, you became the club's all-time leading point scorer in the top flight era. I think Leslie Smith might have surpassed that now. However, what?
Get it?
But we don't have stats from your time in Div 2 and Div 1. But if you were to add all those points from the earlier seasons as well, I would say by far you're the club's leading scorer all time.
Yeah,
100%.
that's nice.
Easily.
That's nice to hear, man. Yeah, I know the Div 2 eras and Div 3 when I was playing with Danny and stuff, I was putting out some good numbers, man, definitely. And the BBL was tough for me because I was still quite young, but then I kind of found my feet. I think I found my feet around the fresh era, like the first year of the BBL. That's when I started feeling like comfortable playing men's basketball and I could deal with the physicality of things, I would say. Yeah, it was quite an adjustment for me.
Yeah, and then you spent 3 years in the top flight, and then you announced your retirement in 2017, officially in 2018, and then we had a testimonial for you afterwards.
Yeah, it's still one of the best days of my life, man. Honestly, it was just such a nice feeling to know that everyone that was kind of there was there to come and celebrate my career and come and see me. Yeah, that was a great day,
There it is,
man.
testimonial day. All the fam there as well.
I've never been more humbled in my life and just so appreciative of like everyone that's in that picture and stuff and in the background as well. And I also got a chance to speak to the crowd. And I've never spoke to the whole crowd before.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And that's something I've always wanted to do. There I am, yeah. And just say how I really feel. You know, I speak to people individually, but never to like an audience of, you know, a group of people who have come in and watched me and gave up their time to come and watch me play one last time. It was really humbling, man.
Yeah,
really humbling.
That was a great day, wasn't it? You I don't think you were. Were you with us that day?
I was not. I wasn't as involved around then. I was like here and there doing bits and bobs, but not particularly involved. You'll see on that picture as well, the first one, Dan, on the right hand side, your cousin, isn't it, Ellis?
Yeah, Ellis is in there. Yeah, he's there.
Current England. He's prop, isn't he?
Yeah, Ellis Genge
for
Bristol
rugby.
Bears.
Yeah, Bristol Bears and England prop. And you still speak to Ellis much or not?
Yeah, we're good, man. Yeah, he's a good egg, man. He's definitely good, man. He's just had another kid as well and stuff. So yeah, wishing him all the best.
I love that.
That's so cool.
That was a great day, and that's sort of in a nutshell of kind of your career and everything. Let's kind of hone in. I've got a few sort of bits we want to dive into in deeper detail. So talking about early days with Flyers, and I know your family were extremely supportive of you. I mean, the countless amount of hours it takes for parents driving you to practices up and down the country, southwest as well. They were extremely supportive of you growing up, right?
Yeah, I mean, to anyone who, or even parents really, any parents who want their kids to do well with basketball, it starts with you, because my mum literally drove me up and down the country, here, there, and everywhere, made sure I was, on time, dressed clean and ready to go and stuff, well fed. And then I could perform and do what I needed to do at these tryouts and stuff. And even coming to the college and stuff, she always made sure I could get to school and stuff. And yeah, it was a big commitment, massive commitment and stuff. So like even in my testimonial, I put everything down to her. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be in a position I'm in now. No chance.
I always remember she used to come to every game.
Oh yeah.
And she'd often be the loudest voice in the room at every game. You knew if Greg Streete's mum was at a game.
Yeah.
Because you'd be able to hear her in the game. Amazing.
She's shouting at everyone.
Yeah, shouting at everyone. Yeah.
Shouting at you?
Oh yeah. I would get it the worst. Yeah, definitely. When I was younger, that car journey home. Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. And obviously, like as you say, some of the driving up to like England practices and stuff. That's a long way to go.
Yeah.
Because they're all over the place, aren't they?
It was Derby a lot of the time, like right in the middle of the country and stuff. But she used to make sure I got there and stuff. I mean, she bought a car. She made sure I got there. She had the time off work. And at the time, there wasn't a lot of funding either. So you had to kind of pay to kind of contribute and get into these trips, especially when we went to the European Championships. They would subsidize some of it, but you still had to come up with the money. And I just don't know how she did it. Yeah. But she found a way.
Yeah.
She found a way.
And then, of course, you mentioned about playing as a junior England international, under 16s, under 18s at England. That must have been a huge achievement for you because that's the sign that, I suppose it's a sign that all the hard work you're putting in, all the time, all the effort is starting to pay off for you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there was nothing better than going into school at the time and seeing like the cutouts from the newspaper that Streete's, representing England and stuff. And teachers were like noticing me and saying like, oh, well done, Greg. Like, oh, wow, I didn't know you were such a big deal and stuff. And I was like, well, yeah, I am, like, stop worrying about the homework, But it was nice to kind of have that sort of interaction with the teachers and things like that at such a young age. And for me personally, it felt like, wow, I could actually be one of the best players in the country, because I'm representing the whole nation and stuff against other nations and some of their best players. It was amazing. And like, yeah, my personal performance went through the roof then. I really sort of gained another level on top of my game, which prepped me ready for, being 18 and 19 and playing for the BBL and Div 1 at the time and stuff. So yeah, it was a really important time for me to get that exposure.
You mentioned some of the newspaper cuttings.
Yeah.
We've got one here we can put up on screen. And this is, I didn't know you at this point because back then, Greg, you had a full head of afro.
Oh, yeah.
There it is. Get it up on screen, producer
There it
Dan.
is.
Oh my goodness me.
I was rocking the fro, man. Me and Tyrone Treasure and Bristol Bombers, that top says.
Yeah.
So it's an old picture. But yeah, Bristol Bombers. That was at City Academy School. And we had just been called up to play for the Southwest, I think that was.
Amazing.
Yeah, Ty's a bit taller now, though.
Yeah. I was going to say the afro gives you an extra couple of inches, I suppose.
Yeah, a little bit more. I think it got bigger as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
I cut it off when I went to Filton College, because I knew I was going to be playing a lot of basketball, and trying to maintain that wasn't going to be easy.
Did you have to wear a headband when you played with that?
Yeah, definitely, man.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, headband, Air Force Ones, all retro.
That is unbelievable. That is amazing.
I remember we did a video for testimonial, and I reached out to some former sort of players and coaches,
Yeah.
and Danny James left a message, and he mentioned your afro.
That's right.
And luckily, he had that photo on file that he was able to share with us.
Oh, brilliant.
Which was amazing. And we actually had Danny on the podcast this season, didn't we? We had him and
Yeah.
Gareth Till on the Flyers podcast. We spoke about the early Bristol Bombers days.
Yeah.
He was nothing but praise for yourself and Ty Treasure. One of the things that they mention is like you being mentors to the next generation of players coming through. When you were in the academy and when you were just the early Flyers Bombers days, who were your mentors when you were sort of growing up that helped you really develop your career?
Oh, wow. So when I first started with the Bristol Bombers and stuff, I would say I was looking up massively to Tyrone and Lee Treasure. Even though Tyrone was younger than me, they had just come over from America and their level was just on another level to us or what we were doing. So watching them play, and like Lee came over here and instantly was like one of the best players under 18s and stuff. So watching him play was great. And then after that, it was Josh Smart. Josh Smart used to play amazing basketball. He was one of the best shooters I'd ever seen. And like at the time, I wasn't shooting the ball at all. I was always going to the basket, but he just showed me there was other ways to score and stuff. You know, you don't have to be super athletic to get a bucket. And then after that, I would probably say it was Dominic Reed. Watching Dom play and having him take me under his wing and just showing me lots of individual things to add to my game. Yeah, that really helped me big time. Mm. And while all that was happening, I had Steve Brocklehurst, Danny James, and Andreas Kapoulas in my ear, giving me all the wisdom and the inspiration to play. So again, I'm a product of the people around me. I was very lucky to have some amazing people around me.
Yeah. Oh, and obviously in that you can listen to that podcast back. Actually, it's on it's on the podcast feed. It's with Danny James and it's with Gareth Till. We talk about those early days, and like I say, they were hugely in praise of you guys and Ty as well. And you mentioned Ty. Just we really want to get Ty on the podcast at some point.
Yeah.
Because he sort of came up through with you, and whenever I was at the academy, I would always look at yourself and Ty Treasure as the poster boys of Bristol Academy Flyers basketball back then.
There you go. They literally are the poster boys.
Yeah, we were mean, man. And Ty will know this. We were mean. In that league with that jersey that we were wearing there, that was a Div 1 year, we were nasty, man. Like people didn't like playing against us. Like we would pick the best player and we would just tag team him. The whole game and stuff. Like I'd be on him, then he'd be on him, and I'd be on him. And yeah, we used to drive people crazy, you know? Yeah, me and Ty were killing, man. Yeah, we'll get Ty on here. I'll message him. We'll get him on the show for sure.
I don't think people realise, and you could maybe give us a bit more of understanding how athletic Ty really was.
Oh, Ty was stupidly athletic, man. As soon as he went to college, he had his growth spurt, and then he got bigger than me. And then when he went to America and came back, I think he was playing a lot in the post when he was in America. So he just turned into a monster. And he came back with all the guard ability that he had here, plus the strength and the dominance. And man, he just took off. Yeah, unconsciously. Wasn't very good at dunking in games though, Ty. Like, you used to pull up a bit for them layups. I ain't going to let you get away with that one. But man, could this kid fly? Yeah, he was on another level, man. Definitely.
Because I remember, because you guys were obviously the ones coming through. Unfortunately, he had that injury, didn't he? And the first year in the BBL, he actually spent a lot of time just sat on the bench, fully dressed, supporting you guys. But, you know, he could have been with you potentially playing in the BBL in that first season. 100%. That would have been some crazy combo, right?
If Tyrone didn't hurt his ankle, the first year in the BBL would have looked a lot different. I tell you that now, man, because Ty was the X factor for us. He was the guy who used to kind of bring that energy, quiet 25 points a game. You wouldn't even know it. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't have to do anything flashy. He would just get the job done, you know, offensively and defensively. So that was heartbreaking for us, you know, especially like me and him are really good friends and stuff. And it was hard to be put in the BBL where we want to be, what we've worked for, and not to share it with Ty. That was hard. Yeah, big time.
So let's run it back to like that very first game. So we spoke about sort of your junior career and playing with the junior national team. And then obviously you have your first game as the Bristol Academy Flyers. I think it was like NBL Div 2 or something like that. Do you remember your very first game for the Flyers?
Do you know,
for the senior men's team?
No, I don't really. No, I remember a few games, but did we play Plymouth? Got to be Plymouth, innit? Surely.
Potentially. In my notes, I had it down as Kent Crusaders.
Kent Crusaders. Oh gosh, yeah, okay, fair enough.
And I think it was a 20-point loss, but it might have been the second season of that of your your second season or the first season.
God,
I'm going from Wikipedia here.
So many blurs of these, like all the seasons just gel into one most of the time and stuff, you know. But yeah, Kent Crusaders. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
because I think Gareth Till would have been the captain back then at that point, right?
Very good.
What are your memories of playing with Gareth and him being the captain, and sort of what leadership qualities do you take from him that you took into your own career as Flyers captain?
Oh, loads. Tilly was amazing. He was such a balanced captain, you know, like at the time we were all emotional players, like teenagers running around going crazy and stuff, but he just brought such a calmness to the captaincy. And that's what I took on board when I wanted to be a captain. No matter how frantic things are going on the court, emotions and stuff and all the rest of it, I just wanted to be able to bring all those emotions down, get level-headed, so we could take the information that Andreas and Nick are giving us, and then we could put it on the court. So while the other team are going crazy and stuff, I brought it all back, bring everyone together, huddle on free throws, that kind of thing, and just kind of keep that composure. That's what I learned from Tilly, definitely. Tilly was a brilliant captain, and I was very honored to take it on after him because he left such an amazing legacy behind him, you know. Everything he did in Plymouth as well, you know, he was just doing this for fun. So yeah, we were very blessed to have Tilly for sure.
And at this point in time, I think, would you have been at the college at this point? Would this been still whilst you were a junior when you were playing for the Flyers senior team?
Yeah, I was in college still. Yeah, college. I was maybe my last year.
Yeah,
second to last year. Yeah,
because obviously after you then finish college, and a lot of players, the pathway, you know, there's a bit of a gap there, and a lot of players when they finish college will then go and this is like sixth form level in the UK, like the college, they'll then go off to the States for college. But yourself, you didn't do that. You took the route where you stayed in Bristol and you stayed with your hometown club, the Flyers. And it's not very often that players that they do that journey. Most of them, if they're talented enough, they will go overseas. Did that not ever cross your mind to go overseas at all, or did you always want to stay in Bristol?
Yeah, I mean, I had a choice to make. You know, I was either going to try and pursue a career elsewhere in Europe or in America, or knuckle down here and try and make something out of the Bristol team. And at the time, we were in Division 1. And I made my choice, and I was like, you know, I'm going to knuckle down. I'm going to stick with Andreas, and me and him are going to keep building basketball in Bristol, and see how far we could take it, see what happens. Yeah. Really, I kind of rolled the dice with it, you know. Yeah. And Andreas always looked after me and stuff, and always gave me the exposure and the help and the confidence that I needed to be able to play at the level that I wanted to play at. And I felt like I had everything here, you know. I do wonder what if, but you know, I'm quite happy knowing that all this is here and I've managed to contribute towards that, you know.
And I'd say more than contribute as well, because I think if you needed someone who was like captain material, who was like solid enough in their Bristolianness, is that a thing? I don't know.
Yeah.
But also you needed someone good enough. You don't always. Bristol's quite small, realistically, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And the talent, it was great, but compared to London, there wasn't as many, were there, or other places. No. And so it needed someone like yourself who was really talented and local and committed to probably get this to a point where it's even better than it could have been, right? If you didn't stick around. So I think we've got a lot to thank you for, and you'll never know how much, because you know, it's like a butterfly effect, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, we really appreciate it.
Yeah. It was a beautiful journey. I really appreciated and loved every moment of it and stuff. And I'm glad that we're at a point where the team is now, you know, playing in Europe and stuff. I was so excited about hearing that, you know, because that level of opportunity for people is just huge. So the team is continuing to evolve even without me, and I think I gave it that momentum it needed to get going, which is great.
Yeah, because I think it was like 2009, I think it was, when you were named officially as club captain.
Yeah.
That must have been incredibly special for you, just to, as a homegrown player, Bristol born, come through the pathway, and now having that trust in Andreas Kapoulas to lead this team going forward into the rest of that Division 1 era.
Yeah, it was a big responsibility for me, definitely. Like I said, after taking on after Gareth Tilley, I was like, oh my God, like, now they're going to look at me. Like, I'm the guy who needs to set the right example and show up to training on time and just all the little things and stuff. Always be a rock, never be broken, can't let anyone faze me. And that's what Tilley was. And I thought, God, no, I need to be that, and I didn't know if I was quite ready. But Andreas, again, had the trust in me and I went for it. So, yeah. And then we ended up winning the National Cup that year.
That's right.
And I was like, woo, I was lucky.
Yeah. I was going to say, because that leads us on nicely, because we've got to get into now those late Division 1 days. And as you say, you led the team to the National Cup title in 2010. And this is the point when Flyers really started. Obviously, we won promotions and stuff, but this is the first real competition trophy that the Flyers have won, the first real piece of silverware. There you are, they're lifting the National Cup in 2010. What do you remember from that game? Because it was against Manchester Magic, wasn't it?
Yes, Manchester Magic, Tintin.
That's right.
Tintin, Stephen Gill, they were a really dynamic duo and they were tough to beat, really, really tough. And we knew going into that game that we needed to bring our A game. And like you said, we hadn't won a major title. We hadn't won anything crazy back then. I think we might have won the league at that point, or maybe that came afterwards. But we were still chasing a name. We wanted to create a buzz and let people know that Bristol were legit, Doug McLaughlin-Williams that year, Davis Bound and that, so, we had some really good quality players. Ty was still playing as well. So we knew we had everything we needed. We just needed to perform on the day. And we did. And that was a great day for the club, man. Nice bit of silverware there.
Yeah. 63-61, the final score.
Yeah.
After overtime as well.
Went to overtime. Yeah. Nice low scoring game. Classic final game, low scoring. Manchester, they had a 2-point lead in the final minute. And then Doug McLaughlin-Williams went 2 for 3 from the line to force overtime. Missed that free throw to potentially win it.
Did he miss the third one?
I can't remember which one of the three it was.
He missed one of them.
Yeah.
So not the last one?
No.
The pressure on that last one.
Yeah, I know. I know Doug kicked himself for that, but he's a quality player and stuff.
Yeah.
And he always showed up in overtime. So
and you still won. So
it won't
matter.
phase him. It won't phase him.
Yeah.
No, he's too good.
Davis Bone and game MVP, 12 points, 13 rebounds, 2 blocks.
That's right. Yeah. Davis is awesome, man. I wish we had a few more years with Davis and stuff. Like, I know he's doing amazing things now back home and stuff, but he was a very good, balanced big man. And he wasn't that big compared to some of the guys in the league. But he had great footwork, hit the boards, he had good hands as well. Yeah, he was solid.
He was our coach when we came to uni.
He was.
Me and Joel met in that first year of uni, and Davis was our UE coach, wasn't he?
Was.
That was weird.
Right.
This is the era. So this sort of 2010 era I remember really well because this is my time at SGS College at the time. So I was at Filton playing in the basketball academy. I think I was like on the edge of the first team at under 18s, and then you guys went and won the trophy, and then the year after 2011 was when you won the league. And I remember it so vividly because you guys were the players that we would look up to as players in the under 18s team. We'd sit and watch you. I'd often volunteer at games, like doing tickets and stuff. It then moved on to doing more of the video side of things and social media side of things when I was at uni, and then that's when I met you, Sam. And Davis was our coach at UE as well, so we knew Davis really well.
That's awesome.
It was incredible. And you talk about some of the players that were on that team. I mean, the players like Roy Owen, Doug McLaughlin-Williams, Jordan Ranklin.
Yeah.
You guys were part of that small core group of players that then moved on together into that top flight era, right?
That's right. Yeah, domestic players, like you said, Roy and Jordan, like we're all British players, which was great that we had that opportunity to go and play against essentially could be 4 or 5 Americans and stuff, but Andreas had faith in us and we brought in a few Americans, a few additions to the team, which were solid. And together, we just had this amazing culture that we added to and then had great success in our first year.
So this is 2014, 2015 we're on to now. The first season of Flyers in the BBL. The club had just secured the financial backing from Steve Lansdowne to join the Bristol Sport Group. What were your memories of you finding out that Bristol Sport were going to get involved with the Flyers and move them up into the BBL? Because it was like 2013, wasn't it, when you first heard about it?
Yeah, there was rumours first, weren't there? There was rumours that, Mr. Lansdowne was buying the team and what did that mean? And there was whispers of arenas and all sorts of stuff. And we were thinking, gosh, that's crazy. And I remember I looked at Andreas and I said, does this mean I can have my name on the back of my jersey? That was the first thing I said to him. because we didn't have names on the back of, our
course,
jerseys then.
yeah.
But I always wanted that. I always wanted a name on the back of my jersey. So yeah, and he was like, "Yes, Greg, you can have your name on the back of your jersey if we go to the BBL." And I was like, "Yes."
It's still up there now on the wall at SGS.
Yeah, which is
You
nice.
see it, it's
Which
hung
is
up on the
lovely.
wall.
Yeah.
And the cardboard cutout of you on the wall with the fingers missing from it. Have you seen that as
people
well?
nick the fingers. Yeah.
Everyone wants to take a piece of Greg home with them. Do you know what I mean? That's what it is.
I heard there's a rule though. Whatever's taken off of that, you now have to remove from your body. So.
Never been the same. Yeah.
That's it. But that was a sort of a new era for the club because it was what we know Flyers as today in terms of the transition from it being, because back then it was semi-professional. A couple of guys were paid on the team. Everyone had jobs. Even in the first
Minibuses.
That's right.
Minibuses to away games, minibus to Newcastle and stuff.
Oh, that's grim.
The same minibuses that you'd put like kids in
Yeah.
and stuff, you
Yeah.
know, but we had to get to the game,
Yeah.
you know, and we didn't have the financial backing that we have now. So, okay, on the minibus we go.
Yeah, and it was slowly a transition because, like you say, like there's only a few American players that are paid. Some of the UK-based guys have to balance 2 or 3 jobs of coaching or mentoring to sort of keep money coming in for them as well. And that's slowly transformed now to a point where you look at the team now, they're flying to games, they're taking the Bristol City bus or Bristol Bears bus to away games. And that was a really important part in terms of making the team fully professional. And that was incredible. I mean, and you talk about some of the players that we had on that first BBL team. I mean, players like Elif Bland and Doug Herring. These were, and this was like the first taste for you guys, I presume, of getting like these real D1 high caliber players coming into the club. Just what was it like playing with them? What were some of your early memories of meeting players like Doug Herring, for example?
Yeah, I mean, well, our first taste was with Doug McLaughlin-Williams and Davis and stuff, and Doug was such a high caliber player at the time and stuff. And when we managed to get him, it was like, wow, like he's come into the team and our level has just gone through the roof. And then when we went to the BBL, and then we had 3 or 4 of them, you know, at this level of American players, it was amazing. And Doug Herring, Fresh, that we called him, Doug did a lot for me because he showed me how good I could be, you know, because I was playing at a level and he was like coaching me through games and stuff. And I've like some of the best games I ever had in the BBL was playing alongside him. And he would be talking to me constantly through the game and, Greg, do this, look for this, take the shot. And like he was always on my case, you know, and he made everyone around him better. You know, and Elif, I recently spoke to Elif as well. We stay in contact all the time and stuff. Yeah, he's doing really well. Yeah, up and coming model in LA. He's doing well.
Really?
Man. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Wow.
He's doing bits. But when he came over, nicest guy, humble, came into the team, spoke well with the fans and everyone. And then when he got on the court, he was an animal. You know, he was tall, he could catch, he could dunk, he was exciting. He just brought so much energy to the team. And like those sort of players you don't necessarily get all the time domestically. So when you bring them in from America, it's just buzz. You know, it creates such a chemistry within the team. And me and people like Ty and stuff, we thrive off that. Roy, we love it. You know, so that just made us all play better because we ain't going to get left behind, you know?
You mentioned Elif Bland. He actually led the league in blocks that year.
Yeah.
Our first season as the BBL.
That surprised me.
and I think a lot of people, you know, going into that season, they just think, oh, it's the Bristol team coming up from Div 1. There weren't any expectations on us. We had a little taste of it the season before in the BBL Trophy. That's right, Surrey United. We were invited as a non-BBL team to play up in the BBL Trophy, and we beat Surrey in the first round. But apart from that, no one was really expecting anything from us that season. And then we go and make the playoffs in our debut season. I think that surprised a lot of people, right?
Yeah, we went 2-0 in the first weekend.
That's right.
Yeah, I think we beat Plymouth and then we beat...
It was Glasgow.
Glasgow, yeah. That was... Yeah, we were high that weekend. I was like, literally, we thought we were invincible. I kept refreshing the league table, saying, "Look, we're at the top of the league. Look at that." First year, but yeah, it was amazing to kind of start that momentum well within the BBL. And like I said, with Division 1 and myself personally, I wanted to let everyone know that Bristol was here. And then when we went into the BBL, it was like, okay, Bristol's here. You know, we are a fully established team. We're not just going to have a few years and then fold. No, we're here to stay. We've got a good establishment. We've got an amazing organization like Bristol Sport backing us. We're here to stay, you know, and we're going to be winning. So just get used to it.
Yeah, I love that because I think like you look at BBL over the years and I think we entered the league with Leeds Force at the time because they used to be Leeds Carnegie, who we used to play in Div 1 and then they rebranded as Force. And you don't see many teams nowadays in top flight making that step up from the lower tiers, when actually that's where the established fan bases already are.
Yes.
All it takes is an investor to come along and provide the financial backing, and that club can thrive. And I think the Flyers is a perfect example of that. I mean, you look at the Flyers, it has junior teams all the way down from under 18s through to under 12s, boys and girls, men's second team, and now with this top flight team that completes the whole pathway. It's the ultimate aspiration point for young players coming up through the pathway to look up to. And you look at other teams in the league right now in Div 1, Reading Rockets, for example, Worthing Thunder, for example. These are teams that could really benefit from financial backing, and this could be where the next generation of top flight clubs comes from, because there's already an established audience there, right?
It's already there. Yeah, that jump to Division 1 to the BBL is one of the biggest jumps, but it's also the most rewarding as well. And like you said, as soon as those investors take a big look and say, look, all they need is a bit of change, and then they're good. And then this community will thrive from basketball, and then you'll see less kids on the street causing problems and stuff and all the rest of it. Like for me personally, school was tough. I didn't really get school. I wasn't interested in it. I just wanted to get my grades and leave. But then as soon as I found basketball, I had a reason to stay in school, and then that's when I wanted to go to college and continue my education and stuff. So it was basketball that made me stay on the straight and narrow.
And we talk about the sort of players coming up through the academy. I mean, that first season, not only we had players like your Dougs and your Leafs, for example, but we had a core group of academy players coming up through. So we had a young D'Lo playing in the first team. We had Dean Williams playing in the first team, and of course these are guys that are coming from the SGS Basketball Academy. That identity is still there today with the team and giving these players opportunities. And now even more so with our men's second team winning Division 2 and earning the right to get promoted into Division 1, which is huge, by the way. We haven't even spoken about that yet.
We need to get onto that at some point. We'll talk about that maybe in the beginning.
But now that gives players from the academy not only a first team to aspire to play for, but had a second team playing in Div 1, which again is where you played a large part of your career.
Yeah, big time. It is a big step, especially going from under 18 straight to the BBL. That's tough. Not many kids can do that. But if you've got a little stepping stone to Division 1, just to give you a taste of real, adult basketball, that step to the BBL is that much easier.
What were the biggest differences for you, do you feel, when you were playing Div 1, making that step up, like in terms of the physicality, the athleticism? What was the biggest difference maker for you?
Physicality definitely was a big one. That's when you got to get in the gym. You got to get in the gym, got to get bigger, got to get stronger, because, you may be athletic, you may be quick, you might have a great tank and you could run the whole game, but these guys are tall and they're strong, and you need to be able to finish and be able to guard them as well. The referees let a lot more go in the BBL compared to the Division 1 days and stuff, and that's something that me and Ty picked up on straight away. Kind of like Jordan with Detroit and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like the physicality is there.
Did you also have less time to make decisions because they're up on you quicker and all the rest of it?
So we used to say that in Division 1, you'd have maybe 3 good players, like 2 Americans and maybe 1 good English guy and stuff. But when you went to the BBL, there's sort of 4 good Americans, and then there was like 2 good English guys. So one guy coming off the bench is usually a good guy, whereas in Division 1, the guys come off the bench, it's like, oh, I can maybe take a breather now, because he's not as good as the guy he's replacing. But in the BBL, it's not like that. You got good players coming off the bench. So,
well, the rules are changing now in SLB. You can get up to 6 Americans.
So what is it now?
It's 6.
It's 6 now.
Yeah,
so 6 internationals. Since
6 import players. So that can be European or American because of Brexit. Now they
I'm not even up to speed. Yeah. I got jiu-jitsu in my brain, Tracy and stuff. But that's cool. That should make it more exciting. Definitely, it just means that the domestic players are going to have to work harder. Because the place isn't guaranteed.
Yeah, I guess another one of the big differences from your time in Div 1 to the BBL and compare that to now is that you can't watch the games back. There's no live streams of games. I mean, when I used to work away games, we used to be sitting there watching live stats tick through.
Yeah, easy. Yeah, I remember watching live stats.
There were no game broadcasts for away games. So in the early BBL days for Flyers, you couldn't watch, unless you travelled with the team or travelled to the game, you could not watch that game unless you're in the building.
Yeah. Did they then get those cameras that would follow you first, or did you actually...
That was 2016, so that was sort of the back end of Greg's career when we started to finally stream games, didn't we?
That's
the
right.
The very sort of back end, the last couple of years of the BBL era going into SLB is when they really started to pump some money into the broadcast side
which
of
is
things.
good, really, because not everyone can make the games. And I think
Yeah.
we were selling out, which was the problem. So people couldn't even get in the building. So it's good to be able to still watch the game and enjoy the team that you love.
Yeah, and then you played 3 seasons total in the top flight, the BBL as it was back then. And you had some great players throughout that period. Brandon Boggs, for example, Hamid Ali, Cardell McFarland.
Yeah, Cardell, he's doing well.
Yeah, some really good players, right?
Yeah, I still see them all on Facebook and stuff like that, and drop them a message every now and again and stuff. But it's nice to see that, they came to Bristol, they had a great time, they produced, great numbers, did well, achieved good things, and then moved on and then continue making, good of their basketball careers and stuff, whether that's coaching. Like I know Davis did a bit of coaching and Cardell does a bit of coaching as well. I think Hamid's still playing, Fresh is still playing and stuff. So it's just lovely to see guys come into Bristol, taking from the city, giving to the city, and then moving on. That's all you could ever ask for an import,
So then we sort of move on to the back end of your playing career, and it's around 2017. You make the decision to take a break from your basketball career.
Yeah.
That must have been so much thought must have gone into that decision, because this is a club that's been with you for the last 12 years, right? It must have been so hard for you to make that decision.
It was hard. Yeah, it was really difficult. Because even though the team had changed a lot and a lot of the players who I started with had all left and there was new players, I kind of felt like it was still in my DNA. It was in my blood, and this is what I do. I'm Greg Streete. I play basketball. I go home. That's what I do. So to kind of change that and do something completely different, like in the fire service, or even think about retirement, was a big step. And I was very fortunate and very lucky to be able to talk to a lot of ex-players, family, friends, and like Andreas and things like that, people who knew what I was going through, to just kind of piece things together and think about what I was going to do. It's a very difficult choice. And any basketball player that's listening to this podcast knows exactly what I'm talking about, because you kind of lose a part of yourself, but then you also gain something, but you don't see that until you get out of the game,
Yeah.
And did you find the next season you wouldn't come down and watch games much, or did you come down quite a lot? I don't actually remember.
I came down quite a lot. Yeah, initially, I was almost at every game on the weekend and stuff, just to kind of see if things were still okay and stuff.
It's like a child, isn't it? To make sure it's all
it's
grown
like
up.
You leave the room and you just peek back in just to make sure everything's okay. I was doing that a little bit.
Yeah.
And it was, and I could see that great things were still happening and stuff. And although I missed the interaction with the crowd and the fans, like taking pictures and signing autographs with the kids was like one of the best things ever. And that's one of the things that I miss to this day. Late night training sessions and stuff, minibus trips to Scotland, all those kind of things, maybe not. But there's still a lot of things that I miss and stuff. But I knew it was the right time. And then when I took the break and then I finally said, yeah, do you know what, this is it. I'm going to call it quits and hang up the jersey and stuff. I knew it was the right time. And I walked away quite happy and satisfied. And I didn't feel like I had anything left to give, because I'd given it all.
And just for the context for the listener, I mean, working in basketball, playing basketball, it takes up so much of your time on weekends. And I don't think people realize it unless you're in and around that environment every single week. Like the amount of family time that you actually sacrifice by playing a pro career is crazy. I mean, you look at weekends for us, like we have Friday, Sunday games or Saturday, Sunday games, and suddenly like there's no opportunity to see family time at all.
And that's not including shooting practice, gym, and training sessions and stuff, I know that when I was playing, we used to train in the evenings, and I know that the team trains during the day now, which is like perfect, but that's because guys haven't got full-time jobs. I was working like 48 hours a week and then chucking another 40 hours of basketball on top of that. And I had I don't know how old Corey was at the time then, maybe 6 or 7. And then Tracy was maybe 1 or 2. So I had a lot of family commitments, but I was able just to do a few more years just before I hung it up. And then now it's all about them.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. And then obviously you announced that you joined the fire service, and we spoke about it at the top of the show. But just talk us through that drawing point that really drew you into wanting to move into the fire service.
It was the camaraderie. It was the teamwork and stuff, definitely. And the shift pattern was beautiful as well, because what I wanted to get back was time. I wanted to spend more time with my family, my wife, my kids, my mum, my dad. I wanted to be able to see more of them, and being away on weekends and evenings was tough. So the shift pattern of the 4 on shift and then 4 off, so I got 4 days off in a row, meant I could get back to doing school runs. I could go to after school clubs. I could, go to the assemblies when they get their little awards and medals and things like that. I could be at those core memory things and stuff. So the the shift pattern was one of the biggest draws for me. And then now I'm also seeing the fact of, well, I'm still helping my community. Before I was playing basketball and inspiring the community and, giving kids hope and things that they could do and aspire to be. Well, now I'm actually helping someone who's stuck in a car or in a house that needs to get out drastically, or even just as simple as putting up someone's smoke alarm because they can't reach. Just simple things like that. I'm still helping the community. I'm still helping Bristol, but just in a different way.
I love that. That's amazing. And that kind of takes us up to the present day. And I think what's amazing about it now, and you look back at your career as a whole and the amount of people that give so much to the club, the volunteers, everything else as well.
Yeah.
The amazing thing about, we're talking back, the last 12 years of your career plus however many years since you retired. We're talking like 20 years. 20 years as a whole. It's the 20th anniversary season, but you look back at the faces that are around the club then, your Andreas, your Nicks, all the volunteers, for example,
still there.
Same faces that are still here now, isn't it? It's amazing.
It is the heart of the club, the volunteers, the family, the Flyers family, we used to call it.
Yep.
They are the heart of the club. Yeah, you just can't fault the people who are there week in, week out, giving up their time for the club that they love, and it's just, yeah. And I said it in my testimonial, if it wasn't for the people, the volunteers, the club wouldn't be here,
Yeah.
Me playing basketball was just a smidge in the sand compared to what they do.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's
yeah,
amazing.
they are awesome. They really are.
Just before we wrap up this sort of segment of the chat, just want to touch on the 20th anniversary season because that's such, and we say it whenever we get a 20th anniversary guest on. I mean, you were with us for 12 of the 20 years, but for Andreas and Nick, right from the very start, from the lowest level in basketball in the UK to playing in Europe now with the Flyers and with the ambitions to start our new arena this summer, right here at Ashton Gate to seat 5,000 fans. The journey this whole club's gone on, it's such an incredible story, isn't it?
It really is. It's huge. Yeah, and it feels like, as you get older, you hit retirement and you start slowing down. Well, actually, the club's getting like more and more busier and busier and busier, and it's, I don't know how Andreas and Nick are still doing it. Like you said, now things have got real interesting now that we're in Europe. And then when we move to the new arena, because I know it's going to happen, eventually it's going to happen, but then it'll be another level again, 5,000 seats, 5,000 fans, all screaming Flyers. That's amazing, so if anything, it could be this is just the beginning, So it's interesting, very interesting.
What was Andreas like for you as a coach, as a mentor throughout the years, in terms of, because he's seen you develop from a young player to the man you are today? What was he like as a mentor?
He's brilliant. He was great. He gave me everything I needed when I needed it. He knew how to motivate me. He knew when I had disappointed him and I needed to try harder, and he knew how to get that message across without sort of breaking me. He always kept me in line, and he gave me so much advice that I still use now, like as a parent and things, when I'm trying to motivate my kids or control the controllables and things like that. And it's just nice to see the messages and the morals that he installed into me, I'm still using nowadays, even in the fire service or as a parent or as a husband, so it's just always good to have someone like Andreas who's able to kind of nurture you really, and bring the best out of you. And I feel like Andreas did that with me. Yeah. And he was awesome throughout all the years, definitely.
Yeah. It's amazing. And to see where it's going, just the excitement of the future for this program. That first day in the arena when it goes up, and like we say, we've announced that work's going to start this summer on it, so you're looking at a couple years down the line. That first game will be quite emotional for a lot of people, won't it?
Yeah, definitely, man. I will be there. I'm taking time off work. I'm making sure the kids are there. And we sat there in the street stand, you know what I mean? And just chilling,
The street stand. We gotta make that happen. The street stand.
Make it happen. #street stand.
Couldn't have his name on a jersey, but we got it on a stand.
Yes. That would be awesome. But it's a full circle moment. Like you said, again, it's something that we've had our eyes on for a long time. We want to have the home of Bristol basketball, and we want it like under this roof, really, where it's all happening and stuff. And I know a lot of the fans that have joined recently are, Bears and the football fans as well. So it's great to have that crossover between the sports and stuff, So having it here would it would skyrocket. It really would. Yeah. And I used to hate going to, not hate, but I used to feel really disappointed going to other teams' gyms that had a brand new arena. And I'm thinking, oh, we deserve this. Like, we're better than them and stuff. But, there's something that's going to happen soon. So it'll be exciting.
Yeah.
It will be exciting for sure.
And we'll hang up that
5,000 seats.
Yeah,
Whew.
it'll be massive. And
Popcorn and everything.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it'd be crazy.
We'll have to. What we'll definitely have to do is we'll have to do some sort of presentation because obviously your jersey number's retired, number 11.
Yeah.
No Flyers player will ever wear number 11 ever again.
Lovely.
We'll have to do some sort of presentation because when the arena's there, we've got to hang it up in the rafters. Surely.
Yeah, let's put it up there. Yeah,
that'd be great.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be
yeah.
great.
So cool.
Before we get to our mailbag, Greg, just the last bit here. Just tell us what's next for you. Is that the basketball chapter of your life now officially closed, or could you ever see yourself getting back involved one day, maybe in a coaching capacity or maybe a backroom staff capacity, or is that fully closed for you now?
I could see myself doing a bit of coaching. Yeah, but very my passion when I was coaching was always primary school kids. I used to enjoy coaching the younger ones and teaching them how to dribble with their left hand and seeing the look on their face when they've done something they've never done before, that used to really sort of keep me going and keep me inspired for basketball and stuff. So I could see myself doing a bit of coaching every now and again. But for me, my focus is the family. I feel like they've given me so much leeway to go and pursue my dreams and keep playing in the BBL and stuff, Corey and Tracy and now Levi and stuff. So I feel like now's my opportunity to give back to them and stuff. And I'm always making sure I'm supporting, watching Corey doing his sport and Tracy. And then eventually when Levi's there, I'll be watching him too. And yeah, now my time is their time. So I'm all for them now.
Is Tracy named after T-Mac?
Yes, he is.
Yes.
I love that.
I mean, I assumed it was. That is amazing.
Yeah. I'm a big Kobe fan, don't get me wrong, but Tracy McGrady used to, he was just awesome, man.
Well, Christian Hill took Kobe already, so.
Yeah, Christian took Kobe. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he got there before I could, yeah.
No, that was great, Greg. I know there's always space for you also on Flyers TV, alongside myself and Gareth. We do our EMBL games. Anytime you want to if you get the itch, you want to scratch it a little bit, you're welcome to join us here on the broadcast, on commentary,
Thank you.
or here in the studio.
That means a lot.
The door's always open, and we'll stay in touch always, as always.
Oh, yeah,
we'll always stay
Can't
in
get
touch.
rid of me that easy, man.
Yeah, great stuff.
I didn't talk much of that. I just like sitting back and listening. That was honestly a really, really, really special moment for me, man. So appreciate it.
Yeah.
No, thank you for having me, man. It's awesome.
Before we let you go, though, we have got some questions from the mailbag. So we did ask fans to send in some questions before this show. The first one is from CR Gunning on Instagram. What was your go-to sneaker during your playing career?
Oh, the Harachis. Yeah, the Harachi mids. They're not really a basketball trainer, but I used to always wear them. And they were super light. They were easy to tie up and keep tight throughout the whole game. You ain't got to be faffing with them with the laces and that. Yeah, if the guy with the headband and the yellow hair with the Harachis, that was me. Yeah, that's what people used to say. The guy with the headband with the yellow hair and the Harachis. 'Cause no one really used to wear Harachis. They were wearing Kobe's or the bronze and stuff.
Yeah.
Towards the end of my career, I was wearing Kobe's, but Harachis only because I couldn't find any. They sold out or something,
Stop making it, yeah.
Yeah, man. But they're coming back now. I remember buying them in Foot Locker for £20.
Oh, really?
But now they're like 130.
Yeah,
so,
of course they are. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That cost of living, I tell you.
Cost of living, man. Woo!
Okay, another question for you. Christian Hill on Instagram wants to know, first of all, got two questions. Who's the GOAT, MJ or LeBron?
Oh, MJ.
Easy.
Soz.
That's so easy. That's great.
That's going to upset some people.
He also asks, how does it feel to have inspired the next generation of players at the Flyers, like we've talked about with the guys like Corey and Corey? How does that feel?
Very heartwarming. Very, very heartwarming. I used to coach Christian's son, Corey, and Kobe at Sir Bernard Lovell School every Friday. I can't remember what time. It was like a couple of hours and stuff. And I could see how much talent those boys had and stuff. And I remember going to Christian and saying, man, your kids are amazing. They are just so good. And we used to just coach them and stuff. And they'd be there at every game and we'd have pictures and stuff and everything. And now I'm seeing what they're both doing, coaching and playing and stuff and contributing back and thinking, man, are they modeling that off what I gave them and stuff? And that's amazing. And yeah, it's great. It's just a heartwarming feeling. It's beautiful.
We had a Weber game on Tuesday and Kobe was playing against us and we were pretty neck and neck the whole way through. We're top of the league and undefeated this year. We played against them early in the season and 6 pairs and beat them. And they came to our place. And we're level, got about 2 minutes left, and flipping Kobe hit a 3 in someone's face, and then straight away afterwards, we hit another 3 and 1, made it, and got the extra to go. And I hate that guy.
That's what I mean. There's a lot of talent out there in Bristol, man. There really, really is.
Yeah.
And it's just lovely to see. You know, it really is. It's great.
Nathaniel_DC on Instagram. Who was the toughest matchup in your career?
Oh, God, that's a good question. Toughest matchup in the career. Zaire Taylor was hard.
Oh, yeah.
London Lions, that's when I played him. He was there. He was a tough cookie to guard, especially in the copper box as well, you know, because it's quite intimidating. There's a lot of people in there. Yeah, Zaire Taylor. Div 1 days, Stephen Gill. So small, man. So fast. And like when he shoots, he's right up there. You know, he springs up in the sky and you look it up and man, is he really jumping that high for a jump shot? Like, yeah, Stephen Gill, Zaire Taylor. I find the smaller ones harder to guard. Definitely, especially because I used to play point guard as a tall point guard. So for me, it was quite difficult. You know, most of the point guards were 5'10", 5'7" and stuff, but I was 6'3" and I was a point guard. So not very good for the back. And that, you know.
I got another question here from Beth Coomber 29 on Instagram. What was your all-time favourite moment playing for the Flyers?
Wow, another tough question. It wasn't just 2 seasons, was it?
There's a lot of memories.
If I couldn't pick my testimonial, because that was really lovely to play with the guys who I played with my whole career and say thank you to all the people that I've always wanted to say thank you to that mean a lot to me. If I couldn't pick that moment, I would probably say that first weekend in the BBL was quite good. Yeah, I enjoyed that weekend because we won both games. It's our first year in the BBL. I don't think I've ever been happier in basketball than that weekend. You know?
You got to have jammed on someone, right? At some point.
I've had some good dunks, yeah, over the years.
I always remember this is taking me back some way.
Go on
a game against Plymouth Raiders, and it went to it was Josh Wilshere driving to the basket, and you just came out of nowhere and blocked him from the weak side.
Yeah,
with 2 hands as well.
Yeah, it was funny because I think that was Tyrone Lee's fault. I think he was meant to come across and rotate, and he didn't. And if you watch the video back, I sort of hesitate because I hedge and I think, oh, it's okay. Ty will go and get that, Tyrone Lee. And he doesn't. And then I go, oh, damn, I better go. And then I went, and then I just threw myself in the air, and then let's go to overtime.
It was overtime, wasn't it? Yeah, it was overtime. Went to overtime.
Yeah.
That was a great memory as well.
A few good games as well. I remember one game that sticks out to me was it was me and Doug Herron, so me and Fresh, playing Sheffield Sharks at home. And I think our stat line was so similar. It was like 20, 10, and 5 or something. And I had a few nice dunks in that game as well, which is quite cool. But it was nice because like Doug Herron had been in America, in New York, playing basketball at such a high level, like college and university and stuff. And I was able to get similar stats to him from Bristol. And it was like, this is awesome. This is great. Like, you know, but he was so humble with it. He was bringing me along, you know, even though I was chasing him, he was helping me along. That was quite cool.
I remember I think in that game that you're on about, I think you did like a reverse cradle in transition.
That's the way, yeah.
I'll find the clip and I'll put it on top of this section of the podcast.
Chuck it on there, man.
I'll chuck it on.
Fresh highlighted that for me. Yeah, he got the clip. I'll send it to you. I got it. Don't worry.
I know exactly the game it was as well. It's
great.
It's
cool, man.
I also remember, we're going off track here. I always remember there was another game away at London Lions, and it was the game where Hamid Ali just went absolutely nuts. And it was on BBC Sport. I remember it so well at the Copper Box Arena, and I think he scored like 4 threes in about 90 seconds or something like that. And
I think it was more than that, man. It was like 7 or 8. It was unbelievable. The commentators were going crazy and stuff. And yeah, if you find that clip, send it to me because I need to watch that again. Because I remember that you did the highlights, but it wasn't all the threes. There was so many more. And yeah, it was back to back. They were referencing to Muhammad Ali and stuff, the way and that. Yeah, Hamid was crazy. I think Didi was there at the time as well. So
and we had
that was nuts.
Yeah, we had Aaron Cosby because I remember that season as well. We were 1-11 at Christmas. And then we brought in Aaron Cosby and we won 15 of our last 18 league games and made the playoffs in the last part of the season.
That around big time. Yeah, that was a tough season, that was. Because we was like you said, a really slow start. And it was like, okay, who's got character? Who's going to grit and bear this, you know? Or who's going to jump ship and stuff? So yeah, we had the addition of Aaron came in and he just was the piece that we needed, you know? And all of a sudden it just started working. It's like an engine. Like one little piece can make all the difference. So
Amazing.
Yeah.
Last question I got here, and this one is from Dini on Instagram. Dini's she's sat over there, by the way, for the YouTube viewers. She's just in the background.
What does she want to know that she can't ask me at home?
This is a great question, actually. I wanted to end it on this one because this says, what advice would you give to a young person who would love to play professional basketball?
Oh, man. Do it. Put your heart and soul into it. Like, you get out what you put in. You know, if you put in everything you've got and all the determination and all the love and passion, and you're able to ignore all the criticisms and the naysayers and the distractions that come along the way, then you can get so much from a career in basketball. I'd say that it is one of the best careers, you know, that you could have for a young person. And yeah, if I can do it, anyone can do it. Definitely.
I love that. And I'd sort of add to that as well. It doesn't even need to be a career on the court. Like basketball for me as well, through the academy, it gave me a career off the court.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like, there's so many opportunities. If you're not a player if you suddenly realise that, oh, maybe I'm not going to be able to play at this super high level, there are other avenues into getting careers in basketball as well.
I wasn't always the best player on the court and stuff. Like I've had great games and I've left behind a lovely legacy, but I mean, I'm mature enough to say like the first game in the BBL against Plymouth, I don't think I scored. Do you know what I mean? That was the first game in the BBL. But you just got to persevere. It doesn't always come straight away. It takes time. Like, you know, it is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So yeah, you gotta persevere with things and stuff. And like you said, it doesn't always have to come on the court. I'm still using the lessons that I've learned from basketball being a parent now. So yeah, it's great, man.
I love
a lot
that.
from basketball. There's a lot to come from it.
Yeah, 100%.
And still more.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
5,000 more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Can't wait. Just get this work started at Ashgate now, please. Come on. We've been speaking about it for so long.
Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Like you
Fingers
say,
crossed, man. Fingers crossed. I'd love to shake Mr. Lansdowne's hand when that happens, man, because it'll be a big achievement, definitely.
Amazing. Great stuff. Well, Greg, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. It's been so long since we've done anything with you on camera, any media with you. So it's great to catch up. Great to hear all about your new life in the fire service. And obviously you are always a club legend and a part of the Flyers family. So, you know, it's great to see that you're still around talking to the players, you know, this season, giving motivational talks. And like I said, the door's always open. If you ever want to come back and if you've got the itch for something a bit basketball, you're welcome to join us on Flyers TV. You're welcome to join us on our broadcast on Design.
That'd be great.
Well.
And the Bristol Spartans weather could do with a 6'3" guard, actually. So.
I don't even think I could dunk anymore. I'm afraid.
Some of us could never dunk, Greg. So,
Sam, what a great episode that was.
Mate, honestly, that was so special. And what a way to do 100 episodes, eh, Jolie? Do something special.
Yeah, well, I wanted to bring out the big guns for episode 100. We've only gone and brought out probably the one of the greatest Bristol players to ever play the game in the city. So, Greg, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you, man.
We appreciate your time. And like I say, you're welcome down at a game anytime. Hope to see you at a game soon.
Oh, yeah, we'll be, definitely.
Yeah. Just a bit of housekeeping before we wrap up this week's episode of the show. That's 100 episodes, Sam, so I've got to give out some thank yous.
Are we done then? Are we going to stop doing the podcast?
No, we're going to continue. The podcast will not stop. The podcast will not stop. However, we just want to say a huge thank you to everyone that has tuned in to the podcast, whether that's on YouTube, whether that's audio via podcast providers. We really appreciate your support. If you do enjoy the podcast, please share it with a friend, like, comment, and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment down here in the comment section. Let us know what you think of today's episode with Greg Streete. And I want to say some thank yous as well. So thank you to our listeners and viewers. We started this all down in lockdown, didn't we? And then it suddenly took off from COVID, and now we're doing weekly episodes here in the studio and building this little podcast community, our little Flyers family, giving them a chance to listen in to shows every week. So thank you so much for all your time, and it will continue as well. It's not just going to stop at episode number 100. Thanks to producer Dan and the team at Brown Vox behind the scenes for producing all the episodes. Well, not all the episodes. There's been a few early lockdown days I used to edit from scratch, but the majority of the ones that have been, especially the ones here that have been in the studio. And thank you to our
podcast partners as well, people like Web Gains in the past, and of course Matchday Live, who sponsored a podcast this season. And thank you to you, Sam, as well, for being a lovely show host.
I don't want to thank you. I think you've been rubbish. No, I'm just kidding, Jolie. This has been. I know it sounds silly. We've been, involved in different amounts of times, but we met all those years ago, 15 years ago. It's nice to be able to do this with one of my real great friends and get people like Greg on and having a great time. So yeah.
Cheers, mate. And the podcast will continue. We'll be right back next week with another episode of the Bristol Flyers Podcast, powered by Matchday Live.